Welcome to this Grandma's Life podcast. I'm your host, theciaellis. Get ready to laugh, learn, and grow with me as we explore growing old in an ever-changing world. Some of the good things about growing old is people judge you less when you sometimes say outrageous things. I'm getting older, and I've had a fascinating life. I also have opinions. You may not agree with these opinions, and I may not care. Even now, I am passionate about many things. I love to learn. I love quotes. I love my animals on the farm, and I care about my country. Join me as we explore loving life even as we age. Today is April 12th, 2025, and this is episode 78. This too shall pass. In this episode, we're going to discuss this period of upheaval that we're going through in our country. But first, let me tell you a little bit about been going on in my personal life. I wrote a skit for scripture skit for my scripture skit um, shop on Etsy. Golly. And then I didn't like it very well, so I rewrote it, and I've got that submitted onto my Etsy shop. It's called scriptureskits.etsy.com. I think is what it is. I don't know. I'll put it on the end of the notes so you can see it. Okay. And I also posted some videos on cooking. I'm doing a series on the cookbook of the collapse. These are did one or two videos for people, some recipes that people have submitted for the cookbook of the collapse. I've also done a couple of videos for Great Depression era cooking and just a couple other little blogs and stuff like that too. So that's been kind of fun. I'm really glad to be able to get back into doing some of my videoing because I was missing it for a while. Ivy, as you know, I've been living with my son and daughter-in-law and then 3-year-old Ivy. And this has been a period of time where I'm getting to know my little 3-year-old granddaughter really well. And we're having a good time together. And, frequently she'll come and sit in my lap while I work at my desk, and I like it. It's kind of nice, and it's just good to get to know her. Kinsey, my oldest granddaughter, she, of course, she's been working real hard and getting ready for graduating, but she's also working full time too. And she managed to save up enough money to put a good deposit down on a 2023 Chevy Malibu. It's pretty sweet. She looks good driving it, and now she's got a car payment, and I think she's going to handle it just fine because she handles a lot of things just fine. I have my Tom's Aunt Frankie is 91. She'll be 92 in August, and she's getting far enough in age that she needs some help. And her 3 daughters have been just wonderful taking care of her. They've been trying really hard to keep Frankie out of a nursing home, and just they've hired people to help. They themselves work when they spend full days with Frankie, so that the lady they've hired to help, can go to a couple of other jobs that she has. But a couple of sisters have had some health problems in their family, and they asked me to help until I find a regular job to take care of Frankie. And so last Thursday was the second time I had done it. The first time I had gone over to help take care of Frankie, one of the cousins was there, and I spent the day talking to her, being trained, and just having a wonderful time talking to both Frankie and to the cousin. And then this previous Thursday, I went, and it was just me for the day, and she had kept her person that takes care of her up most of the night. So I thought, well, I could help. I can just talk to Frankie all day long, and you know me, I can talk. So I did. I talked to Frankie most of the day. I mean, she took a nap or two here and there, but she wasn't left back in the room by herself to watch really bad TV. I don't know what Frankie decides that she likes to watch Hoarders, and to me, that's just a terrible, terrible show. But so we didn't watch Hoarders that day I was there. We talked, and I enjoyed it, and I'm enjoying. I mean, I have always loved Frankie. She and I could sit and talk for hours anyway. But now that she needs somebody there to help take care of her, it's given me an opportunity to be with her, and I'm enjoying it. As you know, I'm not on the farm, and I can't go to the farm. But the sheriff's deputies called me a couple of Fridays ago to tell me that my pigs were out and wandering in the road, and it just killed me to tell them I can't do anything about it. And I cried because I love my pigs. I love my animals, and I can't do anything for them. I couldn't go take care of the situation. And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't even know if they've ever been caught. So I guess there's nothing I can do about it. We had a election here at the 1st of April. It was for election board personnel, people who want to be part of the election board. And anytime we have an election at my church, I go the day before and I transform a classroom into an election polling place, and I did that. And then on the day of the election, I usually show up the first thing in the morning, when they're opening up, make sure they have everything they need to do their election for the day. But I showed up with the parking lot and it was just filled with water. And we've had some rain, but not that much rain. And it should have, even if we had, it should have already run off. And I discovered we had a very significant water leak. It was just, it wasn't spraying out of the ground at the church, but it was bubbling up pretty good and it had flooded a couple areas. And so I had to call my pastor at 7:00 in the morning and go, I hate to bother you, but we got a problem. And so, the people in my church are just wonderful. All you do is make a couple of phone calls, and one person came and helped me turn off the water at the meter. And before noon, one of the men that's in our church is a plumber, and he had showed up and dug up the line and had it fixed, and the poll workers had water by noon that day. And I don't know, it was just kind of nice to see how well people can come together and work and get things done. I felt bad for the workers. Well, and then another guy showed up in our church, and he's such a kind man, and he's always willing to serve, very happily serve. And he found some bottled water to hand out to the workers, and even put some of the bathrooms because they needed it to wash their hands or anything like that. And I don't know. I just love those people. I love the work they do, and all of that. So I did get through them through that day, and then I got everything turned back. And I actually posted a video about turning things into an election polling place and then turn back. Kenzie's prom. Oh my gosh, guys. She's okay. I know I'm grandma and I know that I'm partial, but she was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And my heart just swells with joy for her and pride. And I really am so grateful to have her in my life. And then to find out later on that night that she'd actually been crowned prom queen, I was pleasantly surprised. She's kind of funny. She's an interesting girl because, she has a background and is kind of reserved in a lot of ways. And I was gushing on about how she had gotten prom queen. She goes, do I look like prom queen material? I'm going, yeah. She goes, well, okay. Well, I don't guess I feel like it. But if you go to my my website, grandmashomestead.farm, you can look on the most recent blog post, and you can see not only a couple of pictures of her with her best friend, but also her in the beautiful dresses they were wearing. I think I'd posted the one where she'd actually gotten a crown or tiara and some roses. But on the same night, little Ivy was in a program, and that picture is in that blog post too. The 3-year-old that was part of a preschool. It's a Christian preschool, and that was so fun that night. We showed up, and different classrooms had different nursery rhymes that they had to be like. One of them was, I'm a little teapot. And one mom, she actually made a macrame teapot for this poor little boy to wear, but they were all so cute. And Ivy in her class had to do Humpty Dumpty. So if you go to my grandmashomestead.farm and you could look at the most recent post, you could see Ivy in her Humpty Dumpty costume. That was so cute. It was so fun. And I'm so glad I got to go. I now have a new job. I haven't been actually technically working yet. I'm working for the post office now as a rural carrier. Now, my thing is I'm an assistant rural carrier, and I didn't know what that meant when I applied for it. And I found out it's only Sundays to deliver Amazon boxes and then or packages, and then on a holiday, just basically Sundays and holidays. So that means I can't even go to church on Sundays right now. So last Sunday, I went and shadowed. I sat in the truck and watched this young man go through his day with me, and then I went to, what was it called? It was Carrier Academy, so you can ask questions. It was just the basic stuff, not a lot of videos and everything. We did some videos, but basically it was just some training and some information that we need to know. And then the day after that, we had defensive driving course. And then yesterday, oh my gosh, guys, it was exhausting learning how to drive the mail carrier trucks. And I will be driving the carrier truck while I'm delivering Amazon boxes, because they have enough room in them for all the Amazon boxes for the delivery and stuff. But and it was kind of interesting because I was trying to learn to drive with the steering wheel and stuff on the right hand side of the vehicle. Actually, that part wasn't bad. I mean, sometimes you have a tendency to drift to the left, and with the mirrors sticking out, they really don't want you drifting to the left, because you'll get clipped by another vehicle coming in the opposite direction. But it's all the other things you had to do. I don't back if I can help it. I try not to ever back. I know that I'm very poor at it, but that was where I really struggled yesterday, was backing into parking places, and it was just awful. We did drive around a specific section of town, and I did pretty good with that, I believe. We went through some residential areas, and then we even got on like a 4-lane road there in Tulsa and was being trained in that. But then when we came back, they have like a course set up in the parking lot of the Postal Service in Tulsa. And it was so hard. You got to remember so much, you can't lean out and put the package in the box. Okay, so you have to put the vehicle in park, set the brake, put your flashers on, turn off the engine, get out. If you have to walk away from the vehicle, you've got to lock up the vehicle, and then walk up to deliver it and stuff. I mean, there's just, and that was just like for one thing, but there was a lot of things, and then you're trying to get close enough so you don't have to hang out the window with a seatbelt that goes across your chest, and you don't want to get too close, because the mirrors, especially if it's a little bit of a taller mailbox, you clip them. I was really struggling on some of this stuff, and I was having difficulty maintaining a positive attitude about my performance, and I just had to suck it up and keep on going, and I made it through, but I was exhausted afterward, just flat exhausted. And so now tomorrow, I'm going to actually have my first day of actually delivering packages, and we'll see how that goes. So that's what's been going on with me. I'm still listening to Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. I'm almost done with that one. This is for my second listening, and I do enjoy listening to things twice, because I always find out things I've missed. I have now moved on to Chapter House Dune by Frank Herbert, the next in the series of the Dune series. When I'm actually reading, I'm on paper or in a book. I'm reading still Spud, Spam, and Eating for Victory: Rationing in the Second World War by Catherine Knight. That's been an interesting read, but I'm taking a lot of notes with it. I'm highlighting a lot of things. I'm recording things, because, as you know, I'm doing a series on Are You Ready for the Next Great Depression? I'm doing videos for Cookbook of the Collapse that I'm trying to get put together, and I'm also doing a couple other videos or series of videos for cooking from the pantry, or cook a Great Depression era cooking and stuff too. So that particular book is a source of research for me to learn for the series of the Great Depression series that I'm doing. I'm still working on Muscular Retraining for Pain-Free Living by Craig Williamson. And, that's kind of interesting. The more I read about that, and the more I'm studying it, I'm learning that how we stand, even how we feel about different things. If we feel like maybe a shoulder's acting up, we tense up, and we make everything worse because of that. And because we're not aware of why we're tensing up and where we're tensing up, we're creating pain in various parts of our body that may not even feel like it should be a pain in that part of the body. So that's actually been a good book. And it kind of, as I'm reading it too, I keep thinking, man, so and so needs to read this. Oh, somebody else needs to read this too, you know. And actually, I think it's one of those books that anybody, as they get older and trying to ward off some age and the pain that comes with it, I think they should read Muscular Retraining for Pain-Free Living. And it's an older book. I can't remember when it is, but surely you can find it somewhere. I am now reading another Dean Koontz book, The Big Dark Sky, and I'm just kind of getting started on it. And I love Dean Koontz, and I know I tell you that probably too often, but I'm going to tell you again, I love Dean Koontz, and I love all of his work. All right, my quote of the week: he who loses wealth loses much. He who loses a friend loses more. But he who loses courage loses all. And that's Miguel de Cervantes. And I chose that for as part of my a quote to go with the subject I'm talking about tonight, as this too shall pass. We can't lose courage in all the things that we're going through. But let me tell you a little bit about Miguel de Cervantes. According to Wikipedia, Miguel de Cervantes was believed to be born on September 29, 1547 in Spain. He is best known as the author of Don Quixote, considered the first modern novel. You know, people didn't just write for the heck of it, you know, back in those times. He wrote other books also during his colorful lifetime, but I didn't record him to tell you about him. In 1570, he enlisted in the Spanish Navy infantry and was badly wounded during the Battle of Lepanto and losing the use of his left arm and his hand. He was captured by Barbary pirates in 1575 and was ransomed 5 years later. And I was reading about that. I guess him and his brother were both ransomed, and his parents only had enough money to pay for the brother. And then finally, 5 years later, somebody came up with some money to ransom him. He married at the age of 37 to a much younger woman, and but also ended up fathering a daughter with some other woman too. So he died April 22nd, 1616 at the age of 69. All right, the main subject. This too shall pass. The first thing is, and I'm going to bring up some subjects that have been in the past or is currently going on now, and want to give you a little bit of insight on these particular instances to let you know that regardless of what's going on in the world, this will pass. Something else may come along, but this will pass, and it's not the end of everything that you know. The bird flu, okay? The interest in the bird flu is already dying, especially as the price of eggs begin to diminish. And if you listen to my last podcast, the price of eggs in the United States, you'll know that because they were killing millions of birds, there were no birds to lay eggs for you to eat and for them to have for hatcheries so that they can produce more birds. And this is like the second time, I think it was 2022, that they had done something similar to this too, under the scare of the bird flu. So, and as I also stated in that podcast, there are still some issues with hatcheries providing chicks for some customers. I was reading in a thread today that people are standing in line outside of Tractor Supply and other buildings because they hear that a shipment of chicks is coming in, and they will stand in line so that they can be first in there to get some chicks to replenish what they have on their homestead. But you know what? I did a quick search on CDC.gov. Guys, they're killing millions of chicks, birds, okay, for a disease. There were 70 cases of bird flu detected in humans, okay, 70. Well, you know, nationwide probably, maybe worldwide, but probably nationwide, 70, okay, one death. One person died from the bird flu, okay. There was no person-to-person contact with this disease. And at this time, the CDC says that it's considered a low public health risk. So millions of birds were killed, and a push for the bird flu vaccine, all for disease with so few consequences. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I've seen some studies where the death rate can be really high. I don't know why it could be really high and why this time was not. But the point is, 70 people got the bird flu. one person died and no person to person infection. Okay. And you're having to pay $9 and $10 a dozen of eggs so they can wipe out most of the birds all of the birds in any particular flock that they think has the bird flu. That kills me. And this period of fear mongering of the bird flu, but now seems to have passed. I'm sure that somewhere along the way they're going to still try to convince you to get an injection to ward off from the bird flu, but who's to say? Right now, the world is going crazy as Trump turns everything upside down with this tariff game plan. And I understand what he's trying to do. He's saying that we as the United States are being unfairly sent with tariffs against everything. We have to pay our tariffs before we can sell our goods to them, and they don't have to hardly pay any other tariffs to sell to us. And we as a nation are definitely consumers, and we consume a lot of stuff and a lot of Chinese stuff. And so he's trying to level out the playing field, but it's causing prices to go up. It's causing a lot of angst in the country. The stock market took a huge drop. Cryptocurrency took a huge drop. The stock market seems to be recovering now. And part of the reason it's recovering now, though, is because as soon as he did those tariffs, he had several, I can't remember how many countries, 80, I think, come to him and say, hey, let's discuss this. And so the stock market's recovered. The cryptocurrency market is trying to recover, but it's kind of lagging a little bit behind too. But people are just flipping out saying that President Trump is ruining our country. He's destroying the country, and we're all going to die because food prices and every other prices are going to go way up. And President Trump has said it could go up for a while, but in the long run, it's supposed to be better for our country. Whether it is or not, I don't know. We'll have to find out. Is his game plan to save America worth the angst of the people floundering 401ks? I mean, because that's the stock market is basically attached to the 401k. So if the 401k is slumping, your retirement is going to slump. But you know what? Only time will tell, one way or another, and this too shall pass. On a whole different note, I was looking up different things that were trending and stuff, and one of them was a butter recall. And they had this huge butter recall from Cabot Creamery because it was possible fecal matter, poop, in some butter. But even as they were trying to tell you that there is a big recall on the product, they also state that and it was only one lot of butter, but they're saying that 99.5% of the butter that had been sold at that time had already been recovered. So yes, I understand there's 0.5% of butter that was still out there at the time, but it was still made a big deal. It's like, if you got this butter, and it, of course, obviously, since it was on only one lot, it was a small location that had it, but this will pass too, guys. I mean, we don't even want to go into how our food is treated in this country for one way or another, for chickens, for beef, for any of that stuff. As you know, they're trying to put some regulations on what chemicals we eat. I'm okay with them trying to figure that out, because there's a lot of things that are in our food that is not food, but that's a different matter. So this too shall pass. All right, Doge, Tesla. This one's a rough one. Despite the billions of dollars found to be wasted and fraudulent, people should be happy to know these wastes are being not only found, but corrected. But instead, the same people who want green energy, these same people that says, oh, we're trying to save the planet, we have to drive a electric car. They're sabotaging, they're vandalizing, and they're destroying Teslas, all because they think that Elon Musk, for some reason, the job he's doing of saving us billions of taxpayer dollars, is a bad guy. And to hurt him, they're going to damage and destroy the personal property of people. That's just stupid. I don't know. And your heart has to go out for the people who actually had bought Teslas, because they're losing and people are being threatened and hurt. I mean, a woman's in her Tesla car and a man approached her and punched her in the face and cussed her because she was driving a Tesla. Guys, that ain't right. I don't care if you agree with what Elon Musk is doing. I don't care if you agree with whether they're supposed to be driving a Tesla or any other electric vehicle. Don't be going around damaging people's stuff. Don't be punching people. Don't, pull your head out, So this is still an ongoing issue. So whether you agree with the work that Elon Musk is doing or not, vandalizing and destroying people's personal property is terribly wrong. But this too shall pass. Just like Black Lives Matter, how big a deal it was just a couple of years ago, it's falling apart. Its time is past. World Wars I and II are past. Other wars have come and gone. And as difficult and as terrible as these wars were, they're in the past. Most of us survived the COVID virus and all the propaganda stirred up with it. So whatever you may be going through at this time, both personally and nationally, this too shall pass. So quit panicking. Okay. So those of you who are preppers, don't panic. Okay. You've already got your prepper stuff going. You're going to be fine in one way or another. But I'm not telling you to get your beans, bullets, and Band-Aids together right now. You should, if you were a prepper, you should have already had them and you should be feeling pretty comfortable. If you don't have your beans, bullets, and Band-Aids and all that other stuff and looking for ways of doing it, I encourage you to look into my Are You Ready for the Next Great Depression series and see what you can do to take care of yourself if things get bad. But even if they get bad, guys, this too shall pass. Tell me what your thoughts are on all this turmoil going on. Send me an email at theciaellis@gmail.com or if on the video portion of this, make a comment at the bottom of the page in the comment section. All right. Like I was telling you earlier, it's scriptureskits.etsy.com. I have 2 or 3 skits up there right now. I've got others in the works. One of them was actually a play for Resurrection Sunday, and then I've got 2 others that are just short skits, essentially between 2 women that with a biblical bent on it, so that like 4 women's meetings and stuff. It's a nice little short thing that 2 women can just read it from the paper and play the part, and it kind of gives you a different way to get scripture to some people, or just a way to break the ice before a particular meeting starts or something. So check it out, scriptureskits.etsy.com. I would appreciate it. I would also appreciate ask it for a 5-star review on this podcast. If you're watching it, like and subscribe, and help me get me boosting and make it worth my time and effort. I'm going to do this anyway because I enjoy the work, but I would like to be able to have something to show for it. You know what I mean? All right. My regular Facebook page is theciaellis. I know it's a mouthful, but so you could check me out on the regular Facebook page. My website is grandmashomestead.farm. I have Grandma's Homestead YouTube channel, Farm Animal Life YouTube channel, Kinsey Lackey Sports YouTube channel. And so I've got on Instagram, X, and Rumble, I am under Thecia E or Thecia Ellis. And then I also have a Grandma's Homestead Facebook page. So that's all I've got for you today. And this fits too. Live until you die. Okay? Yes, this too shall pass. But live until you die. God bless, guys. I'll see you next time.